Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, where we come to you as frequently as we can, almost every night at 7 p.m. Central Time, to talk about the world of crowdfunding comics. And I love doing it because I can't make a comic. I can't draw stick figures. So I get to talk with all of you people who are doing it. And tonight, we are going to delve into a new title called The Bite of Brenna Barlow. And with us tonight, we have Brenna's creator, Rob Stanley. How you doing, Rob?
Good.
So I'll tell you, I have interviewed a number of people in the past month who are putting out werewolf books. They're like, there's a pack of them. They're just everywhere. So it's finally refreshing to be back to vampires again for a while. and I'm guessing that's what we've got here with Brenna is a vampire.
That's right. Not a werewolf to be found.
Good. So no underworld adventures here going on with Brenna.
Not right now, no.
All right. So before I get into who Brenna is and why Brenna is, why are you making comics? What's the appeal there?
I love to write. I'm fortunate enough to know some folks who can draw, because if I did a comic, it would just be a bunch of stick figures on a notepad. So I love to write scripts. And this character actually came from a prose short story that I wrote years back. And I just noticed that there was a comic anthology called Hollow Scream that is released by Tim West over in the UK that was looking for submissions. I wrote a small short story called He Said, She Said in prose form. I put it into comic form for the book, and I liked writing the characters so much. That's where Brenna came from.
All right. So this is so you've been published in prose before.
Yes. No. I've taken a lot of my prose and turned them into comics for short comic anthology shorts.
I got you. So you've been published in comics before. This isn't your first.
This isn't the first. I've done some anthologies. I've also done some work with a small press company called Moby's Media. I've done Lazarus Eye and Dr. Fizz, but this is the first one I ventured out myself and done.
Yeah, it's I've worked with some small publishers myself, getting things published and selling to them. You watch them enough, you're thinking, hey, this publishing gig is a lot easier than the writing gig. Maybe I'll get into that, and then you find out where the work really is.
Yeah,
which is where you're at now, I would guess, with self-publishing. You've already got the first issue out of the Bite of Brenna Barlow. How did that campaign go, and what did you learn doing that?
What I learned via my friend Andrew over in Newcastle, England, was how important Twitter is. Because at the time, I had no idea how to use Twitter, and I had it out there, and I was plugging it on Facebook, and I went on a couple podcasts, a couple streams, but he would just do a couple tweets and a couple hashtags, and I would have $500 from people in the UK pledging to buy my book.
It's amazing how the social media works if you've got the followers and if you know what hashtags to put in to attract attention.
Yeah,
on their radar. So now you're on Twitter. Hey, it's Mr. Stanley.
Yes,
online there. Why Kickstarter? I mean, obviously when somebody says, "Hey, let's crowdfund something," Kickstarter is like the generic term that comes to mind. But do you ever see yourself like running dual campaigns? I know a lot of people will start on Kickstarter and then go to Indiegogo or vice versa.
What I've noticed with the dual campaigns is if you get a good following on Kickstarter, you're probably going to bomb on Indiegogo. Like I've noticed that happen to a couple of my friends. I'm fortunate enough to be part of like a circle of creators who kind of help each other out, who retweet Kickstarters here, and like we kind of help each other out. And that's where I've gotten a lot of my following. Like Manny Shape, who writes the El Crudo Army Ape series. He's been helping me. Stephanie Menard, who does the Ionian, and a couple other, like, I know a lot of great creators who have done great Kickstarters, who they spread the word and I spread the word for them, and it's kind of like a circle of trust among each other.
Sure, you all market for each other.
Yes.
It's almost like you're this invisible publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
All independent, but all kind of working together. Do you ever foresee crossing over with any of their titles?
You know, I have talked to Manny about Del Crudo and Brenna, and you know, that'd be kind of funny. A military ape and a blind telepathic vampire. That'd be a good crossover.
Yeah, I was looking at the description here, the one-liner at the top, and it said, Brenna Barlow is a telepathic vampire. And then I read the one page, he said, she said. I'm like, oh, wait, he's saying she's blind. Is she blind, or is my
She's blind, but you really, in he said, she said, you didn't that was kind of like the twist at the end. You kind of reading the thoughts of this guy, thinking he was about ready to take advantage of her, and she's blind, and you're thinking, oh, this poor woman. And at the end, vampire, she's reading his mind. There's the big twist. She's a lot stronger than the audience thought she was.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, there we go, add to the stream. That's the button I was missing. I'd seen this picture several times, and I never once paid attention to the white cane that she's carrying across the street here. So, yep, absolutely, totally blind, which is interesting because I have never heard of a vampire with a handicap other than sunlight allergy.
But I try to make, and I kind of take it as a compliment when readers tell me, oh, well, it took me a while to realize that she was blind. I didn't want it to be out there in big blinking lights, blind woman. I didn't want it to be what she was about. I just wanted to be something, that one little quality about her, So
other than being blind, what category of vampire is she? And I'm talking like on a range of, on a scale of Bela Lugosi to sparkly in the daylight kind of vampire.
She is definitely not sparkly in the daylight. I've actually made a little story twist where she could go in limited daylight, just so I can open up more opportunity story-wise. She is more along the lines of, I would say, there was a show on years ago in the UK called Being Human, where there were vampires, there were werewolves, kind of like that, where it's kind of rooted in reality. She's not going to sparkle. It's not going to be melodramatic. She's kind of more or less like just a vampire who just so happens to be in everyday life.
Yeah, they Sci-Fi Channel did an American version of that. I remember that when you brought that up. What was it? Sam Witwer was the vampire in that one.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of the rare times where the American version was pretty much just as good as the British version.
I liked it, and that's saying something for the Sci-Fi show. I think that was actually, though, in an era where they were putting out a lot of good shows on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
At the same time, they had Continuum. They had some other things going on. But yeah, I'm thinking, a blind vampire, you might not know that it's sunlight or sunrise coming up if you're out too late. I'm like, she better have some sort of a Siri wristwatch or something saying, beep, beep, it is now 6:01 a.m. You should get home.
The good thing about Brenna is she has her little sidekick there, her dachshund, whom she can actually converse with telepathically. She could actually hear his thoughts, and he talks to her back through his mind.
Okay, because I did see sarcastic dachshund sidekick.
Yeah.
Talking dog, or she's a thinking dog.
No, more, just thinking she could read his thoughts. And a lot of times she's talking to him, and there are some characters that come upon her and think that she's crazy because she's talking to herself.
Now, is he the only animal that she can telepathically speak with?
As of right now, I haven't really dealt with anything with other animals with her, but in the first Kickstarter, I did a couple origin short, PDF stories to kind of introduce how they met and everything, and they do come upon each other, and they're kind of surprised to see that he can hear her, or she can hear him, and he can converse with her. They were equally as surprised when they found each other.
Yeah, it's either that either she can do it with all animals and he's her buddy, or there's something special about him that makes it so they can communicate. It kind of reminds me of the last Oz book that Frank Baum did, because Dorothy was coming to this realization because she went to Oz with the chicken, and suddenly the chicken would talk, and she went there with another animal, and suddenly that animal would talk. And she's like, "Hey, how come Toto doesn't talk? Does the magic not affect him?" And they're like, he can talk just fine. He has nothing to say. And she looked down at Toto and she says, "Is this true?" And he just kind of sits there and looks at her and says, "Bye," and runs off into the field. And that's the end of the book. It's like Toto said bye and left. So that would be the most sarcastic thing that a little terrier could say, I guess. So what kind of a book are we looking at with Brenna Barlow? And by this, I'm talking about your page count, your size. Is it standard size, A4, square bound, 80 page, 20 page?
It's a standard comic. The first one was 24 pages. This one is 26 or 28 pages. It's just standard, not lengthy graphic novel yet, although the next in this series will be a little bit larger in content. All right.
This is the comic version of the short story you talked about, the He Said, She Said. Is this part of the book, or is this just exemplifying?
I have that there just to show. It's not part of the book, but one of the tiers in the Kickstarter. Again, I'm doing Origins, where they can see a PDF of this. They could see a PDF of the other two origin stories that I wrote for the first Kickstarter, just to see where she came from, how she met Gary the dachshund, and a couple other things that are touched upon in this book that kind of would enlighten the audience a bit more, make them enjoy things a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah, it's good to have that kind of I don't like books that have a glossary in the front of it or the back of it. It's like, I have to learn a whole new language to understand what's going on in this book and a history. But character profiles are a completely different thing. Yeah, just tell me a little bit about got their power from this, or stands so tall and hates vanilla ice cream. I don't mind that stuff at all. Now this is the cover for #1, which was the last campaign. Is it the cover for #1 or a cover for #1? Because
there were two covers for #1. There was that one, that was the main one, and then there was a limited one that I did with artist by the name of Sean Langley, which was more of like a more horror. I mean, that's horror. I mean, it's a vampire, teeth, blood, but I mean, this looked more like an old school type of horror comic or book.
And this is the one that people will get if they back the double tier one this time around.
Yes.
So they'll get the standard copy, for which all your limited edition copy backers are appreciative. No one will find out that limited is unlimited limited. And this is the second part of the story. I mean, did you end on a cliffhanger the last time?
No, the first book, The Girl with Something Extra, was more like the pilot. It was like, here she is, here's her dachshund, here are some other things about her life. This is the first part of a story arc that is going to span over 2 more issues beyond this. It's going to be, I call it the Timeless Time story arc, where it touches upon her past and her future now, and how certain things kind of collide from her past into her future, and it's not really something that she's too thrilled about.
All right. So in London Calling, you've got written here, the family business takes Brenna and Gary, of course, back home to England. So she wasn't in England in the first one. She's living in America, but she is English.
She is English. She is from a small village called Houghton Spring. In the first book, she was in a small fictional town in Maryland that I dreamt up for. I always touch upon this town in any kind of book that I'm at. Townington. I just created that for my own little universe there, and she was there, and now this carries her to England. And I shifted the gears to England because it seemed like it opened up more possibilities for her, more different scenarios.
How old is she?
She was born in the 1870s.
Okay, so she's one of those older vampires that's long lived.
Yes.
Much experienced. And Was she blind when she became a vampire, or blinded afterward?
She was blind like blind at birth. She's been blind from day one.
That's why she didn't see that vampire she ran into.
No, she didn't.
Okay. Because that would make sense. Because whenever you become the vampire, you're immortal at the place you are. So God, don't get bitten when you're wounded or missing a limb or something. Get bitten while you're young and beautiful. You've seen, of course, Interview with the Vampire.
Oh yeah,
the Tom Cruise movie. Yeah, the Spider-Man's girlfriend, when she was still a tween, was in there going nuts because she was never going to grow up, never going to hit puberty, and yeah, that was kind of the creepy part of that movie. But yeah, always become a vampire when you're a young adult. You'll enjoy your eternal life much better.
Well, the lore that I took upon when I was creating Brenna was there is some thinking with some vampire stories and whatnot where they age so many years after so many decades. So she was a vampire as a child, but she's aged a little bit since then. There's some thinking in that with some vampire stories where there's just like so many years after so many decades. So right now she would be what you would consider probably in her late 20s.
Okay.
Even though she was born in the 1870s.
I'll take it. A couple of centuries, I'm good with that. The culture shock that she must see through her life too must have some sort of I would think it would have some sort of an impact. If you were born in the 1800s and you've gone through all of the 1900s and you've gone from horse and buggy to iPhone, I think of that whole J curve of I should do it this way since I'm on a screen. That whole J curve of the technology growth. When you think about it, when we dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima,
yeah,
there were veterans of the Confederate Army still alive to see that, and I'm like, that's got to be the strangest freaking thing in the world to have fought with muskets, and now we're dropping A-bombs. So with a vampire character, it must be even more so. And I don't, I've seen some where they adopt some stories where they adopt the technology, they're up on their game, and some where they're like, oh, you young kids, I'm going to sit here and use my dial-up rotary phone or stick with the old methods, tried and true, become a bit of a Luddite. She looks like she's a thoroughly modern girl, though, I would say.
She is modern. She has, different adaptations to her phone or her computer where because of her blindness, and she's technologically savvy. And in the first book, she is actually working in a call center. Now she's going off to England to deal with her family, but she's not, in a Victorian mansion like a what's his name, like a Christopher Lee movie. She's with it. You wouldn't tell by looking at her until she bares her fangs.
Not your Dark Shadows kind of family.
No Barnabas.
Okay, so family. I mean, she was born in the 1800s. What family does she have left? She didn't procreate, and was her parents? Were her parents converted to vampirism? And
well, actually, in the first book, through flashbacks, we found out that she did have a child when she was like a teen. Still, she hasn't, and her father touched upon her being evil like her mother, and he grabbed the child out of her hands, and she never saw that child again. And in that first book, you could kind of see the kind of quest she went on to find out what happened to that child and what happened to that child's child. And turns out she does have a granddaughter who is still among the living. And while she was in Townington, she was caring for her. Now, mind you, because her daughter was adopted out, this woman just thinks that she's her mother's friend because she still hovered around as someone else just to look after her daughter, even though her daughter didn't know who she was.
Okay.
And so she's taking care of this woman who's 100 years old. She just celebrated her 100th birthday in the first book, and she's looking after her. In the second book, the reason they're going to England is because her granddaughter's kind of ne'er-do-well, money-grubbing son wants her in England because he wants to sponge off her finances.
Ah, got it. Okay. But then she had this child before she turned into a vampire.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no vampire bloodline running down the...
No, her granddaughter and her daughter were nowhere in the bloodline.
Okay, because I don't like the idea of vampires having vampire babies. I know Disney Junior tried to do that with Vampirina. No, it was just wrong. It didn't work, and it didn't last long. So let's take a look at some of the pledges here. Should I go down the big side or the little side?
Well, a lot of the biggest one's already been taken. That kind of shine. You see that one there? That is actually the standard copy of the cover. That is a throwback to the old horror comics of the 50s and 60s. Yeah. My artist Gregory Waronchak, he did that. He did an excellent job. I wanted to touch upon that genre I wanted to do something special for just even the standard cover, and he did a really great job just with that whole feel and that whole format. I thought it really looked good.
Yeah, this looks very Dark Shadows, with a toss in of, God, I can't even think of what kind of monster book that would have come out of. But it does raise the question, what other kinds of monsters exist in this world, and this thing exists.
Oh, I actually got this is gonna sound wrong, but I actually got the idea for that monster that appears in this novel through my wife, who, when my son was a little younger, to keep him from venturing off to wherever he didn't need to be going, she'd say, the Moomaw is gonna get you. Stay away from there. Stay with mommy and daddy, or the Moomaw is out there. Well, I brought the Moomaw to life in this book.
Oh, the Moom. So did your son ever draw a picture of the Moomaw, and this is adapted from it or anything? Or?
I actually asked him, I said, what would the Moomaw look like? And he gave me like a short little description, and I gave it to my my artist, and he is quite terrifying in the book. He did a great job. Yeah,
well, I would freak out and probably need change of underwear if I ran into something walking around looked like this. Wow, Nathan, the greedy great-grandson, he's old for a great-grandson. So,
well, yeah, he's in his 70s.
She can't stay around them very long, or they'll all begin to realize, hey, Aunt Brenna is she's kind of always there. Now this is a pinup. Yeah,
that is a pinup. It's kind of like a chibi anime. Summer Steinhardt did a great job with that. I wanted to do something a little different, like little anime sort of, just to see what the characters would look like. And she did a great job with Brenna and Gary and the little scenario that she dreamt up for them.
A lot of people are doing the special chibi versions. I know there's a guy who does a lot of the Indiegogo books. They'll hit like a certain level, and he does a chibi sticker for them of their character. And he's got this ongoing collage of all the characters that he's done chibis of. So he's got this growing army of these independent comic book creators just charging into the fray. But I look at this and I'm wondering now how far off we are from one of you crowdfunding guys getting your, I almost said Indiegogo, your Kickstarter, your Indiegogo, or your independent character turned into a Funko Pop.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that, because I had someone. She's the Funko Boss on. She's known as the Funko Boss. She does custom Funko Pops, and one of the tiers on here, and 2 people actually just pledged it today, is I did a limited of 4 or 5, I believe, on there, and it's a Funko Pop of Brenna and Gary.
Now, so I have not gone down all the tiers here, and now I've got to find that one. But okay, so let's look at the tiers here. I'm just kind of scrolling down the big side and looking at the pictures, the pretty pictures. $5 is your digital edition copy. So I know we have people in the chat who require digital editions. They work remotely out in the wilderness, and they can't carry their long white boxes with them. So I used to skip the digitals because I'm like, I don't want a digital. Who else does? I don't like reading digital. People like it, so we'll pay attention to that. You got 4 people on there, so and for $5, that's like that's a try it before you buy it kind of thing. You come back to the next campaign if you like the PDF and say, yeah, give me those physical copies now. But even so, the physical copy is only $10. What's your shipping on that?
Shipping in the U.S. Is shipping in the U.S. I believe is $4.99, and then anywhere else it's I believe $9.
That's cheap. If you're getting $9 shipping overseas, because I was thinking it was like usually $20 to get something overseas.
Anything that kind of compact, you can kind of get around it. It could be considered like, just in an envelope. I thought it was going to be a lot expensive too last year because I had my friend over in the UK and he was plugging away and I was getting all these people buying from England, which did my heart good because the character is British. I'm thinking, okay, they'll identify with it. I'm thinking, oh my God, what's the shipping gonna? The shipping wasn't bad at all.
Well, good, because I know it's been a big problem for a lot of books. So I don't know how you're getting around it, but whatever you're doing, keep doing that, doing it right. $10 will get you the digital double pack. Now this is still PDFs, but this gets you London Calling and it gets you Bite of Brenna Barlow #1, the girl with San Francisco. So there you go, full catch up story, and then $15, still cheap for both copies.
Yes,
I'll be back in this one tonight. $15 for 2 comics. It's done deal. $15 tier, Brenna. There, done. I won't put my credit card in while we're sharing on this channel. So that's a great tier. I mean, these are reasonably priced for your standard size copies. Now I'm guessing, you said that this is going to be the first part of a 3-issue arc.
Yes.
Common sense says that at some point those 3 issues are going to be collected into a trade paperback.
That's exactly.
That would be the goal. Your $20 catch-up tier is physical, digital, and a digital copy of the Tale of the Size God Amulet.
Size God Amulet. They're the origin stories. You have the Confessions of the Long-Haired Dachshund. That's where you find how Brenna and Gary found each other. And then the Tale of the Size God Amulet. First of all, you see how Brenna can actually go in the sunlight. And you're also then introduced to a character that is very prominent in London Calling. And you see what he was to her back then before you see just how she reacts to him being around now.
Okay. Vampires are going. If you meet other vampires, you're going to cross their paths sometime in the world. It's like Highlanders, you can always tell when another one's around. The $25, this is the Brenna and Gary chibi style pinup, which we see over here on the left. This gets you the physical copy of London Calling and the pinup. So the pinup is going to be, I'm guessing, a print that's in standard comic size or smaller or larger or?
Like about around the same size, yes.
Okay, so something you could, I like them when they're the size of the comic because you can put them in the sleeve with the backer and just kind of an instant frame that way. For $25, you get this gorgeous looking chibi print here, especially if you're a chibi fan of characters. She's getting ready to kick him with that cane. And then we get to the Abbey Road homage cover.
Mm-hmm.
This is the variant cover by Benjamin Philby.
This is this is Benjamin's. He even puts Easter eggs in there that I didn't even know were there. It's just he did a great job with that one.
Now this is got 2 listings down here. It's got the physical copy of London Calling and then the variant cover. So what are we looking at here? Are we looking at both covers?
There's a double one, and then there's one where you could just get that on its own.
Okay. So for the $30 one, I'm guessing you're getting both of them with this tier.
Yes.
And this is limited to 20 of them. One of them's gone already.
Yes.
So So jump in on that one quick and early if you want to get that, folks. And by the way, if you want to get in on this, the link for the Kickstarter is in the description of the video, right underneath there. So that'll open up in a new window. You can do it during this call here. You won't be taken out of YouTube. $40 or more. Brenna and Gary poster by Jennifer Moniz. Now let's see if that work with me, mouse. Oh, is this that poster?
Yes. Yeah, Jennifer did a great job. She does a great job with like Betty Page pinup style artwork.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I can see that, like the Varga influence on that. That is freaking gorgeous. Why did I not make this the thumbnail for the video? Because yeah, okay. Man, that's an 11 by 17, so it's
yes.
It's fairly big. It's not your 16 by 20 size, standard poster.
And a backer already told me it's going in his office. So
yeah. What is that on? Is that how are you gonna mail that? Is that a roll-up poster, or is that a
roll? Well, what I usually do what I did with the posters last year was I rolled them up, I put them in a tube, but I also then put them in a box. Just so, luckily where my wife works, I can get boxes of all different sizes. So I could just put them in there just so there's extra protection rather than just sending in a tube and having it bashed around all through creation, Yeah,
that makes perfect sense. Double package those things as much as possible and insulate them. Damn, that's just gorgeous. Question in chat, and I'll just ask it this way: what's the inspiration behind the dachshund here? Why a dachshund?
Well, my wife and I, we've been together for almost 19 years, and in 2006 we kind of got our first kid. We got our little Gary. His name was Gary too, and I wanted a dachshund in here. When I first started writing this, Gary was still with us, but he passed away almost 3 years ago, and I even dedicated the first book to his memory. Gary was inspired by a real life Gary.
So when you're writing Gary's dialogue, is this the kind of stuff that you would?
The kind of stuff where I would just look at him and he would just look at me, and I would kind of figure I know what you're thinking, buddy.
There was a question as to whether or not it was a bit of a nod to the Sherlock Holmes dachshund Toby. But
no, although I can see that. I've read the novels, but no, this is all my Gary, all our Gary.
All right, so folks, there's only going to be 15 of these, and there's only 14 left. There will be 13 left by later tonight. So it depends on whether or not my PayPal payment came through today. It may have to wait till tomorrow. But one of them is going here. Now at 45, that's where we get into the people who don't read but collect. You got a CGC rated copy, standard cover for $45. That's the standard cover of this second issue. So you're going to get a slab, folks. This is the one, if I were a collector, I would say this one adds on because you always want to read it.
And I didn't do this for the first one, but a couple friends of mine who have done several successful Kickstarters told me to throw that in there just in case, because you always get some collectors coming about, especially when they see maybe if a Kickstarter is doing well or if a certain character kind of jumps out at people, they'll want to get a CGC copy of the book.
Now, you have to pay to get these slabbed on your end. So, I've never had anything slabbed because I'm like, is it worth it to get it slabbed? And, am I paying more than the book is actually worth when I get something slabbed up here, especially now, with it being a brand new book. So I'm going to guess that $45 is pretty much, you're still paying your $10 for the book and you're getting repaid back for the slabbing cost per book. So as long as you're not going in the hole doing the slabbing here. Now, Bear Hugger's in the chat. Ho, Bear Hugger, thank you for popping in here. We're talking the Bite of Brenna Barlow with Mr. Rob Stanley here. Some very cool stuff here. I'll just that, okay? You don't. What else do you need to know? That, and we haven't even seen any interior artwork yet. Poster. What do we got here? The $55 You can get the CGC graded copy of the Abbey Road Homage. Again, limited number of these. There's only going to be 10 of them. One's gone. So somebody wanted that one slabbed. So if I do the math right, you're only getting like 25 of these Abbey Road ones printed up.
Yeah, again, that's what around like a little more than what I did with the Sean Langley cover. But when I first started showing that artwork around, I noticed a lot of interest, but I didn't want it to be everywhere. So I wanted to put a limited amount out there. And God willing, if any are left over and we ever can make it to conventions again, that would be something I would put on my table, and I'm sure it would not last very long there.
Yeah, and I'm you're a smart business guy. You know that if you sell all 25 of them, you really need to print 50.
Yeah,
to have some left over. 50 is not an influx flooding of the market of any kind. $90 you get the CGC graded bundle, so you can get 2 slabs for $90, which is pretty much just 55 plus 45. Oh wait, no, that's a $10 savings. So you'd pay $100 if you got them separate, $90 if you get them together. Save $10, you get them both slabbed, and then go back up and get the standard issue so you can read it, or the PDF if you want to, say you've spent too much money on your slabs already. $95 of artwork extravaganza. So tell us what's in here.
You have both covers. You have the chibi pinup, and then you also have the beautiful poster there that you seem to enjoy so much there.
That's this.
Yes.
Puppy love, I'm calling that one. So that's everything unslabbed. This is your
no CGC or anything. It's just everything. I did it last year and it sold out, and a lot of people like to collect the artwork as well as the book, so I put another tier in this one as well.
All right, so 2 of these allowed, 8 of them or 10 of them allowed, 8 of them left. People are picking, and this campaign's been going on for 2 days, and it is funded. So
this has been going on since midnight on the 17th. Yeah.
So this is something that you don't have to worry about. Well, is it going to get funded or not? It's funded. It's done. It's a deal. So now all you got to do is just buy it and wait for how long? I mean, when are you looking at delivering on this one?
Well, everything is going to be. I mean, this ends on Valentine's Day, and I'm probably going to have the finished book sometime this week. Probably send in for my review copy, and then I'll have everything. I have it there where most of them are going to be like by March or April, and I might even get it to backers even earlier than that.
Wow! So this is something where it's not like hey, fund me so I can pay an artist to do my book. This is I've done the book. Just buy it.
I just got the final lettering from Tobin, my letterer, like right before I got on here to speak with you, and it's just like the last Kickstarter, I got everything to everyone about a month early, unless there are certain things that are a little bit later, like you'll come upon some of but like the books themselves and the artwork and everything, you'll get March or April. The CGC you probably won't get until June or July, but all the basic stuff you'll get straight away.
Sure. That makes yeah, because if you get a stretch goal and it's like, hey, we're going to do like a chromium trading card. Well, now you got to send off for those and wait for them to come back.
Yeah.
So that could put but it's not one of these, 2 years later, where's my vampire book? And trust me, I've got plenty of those, and I've got one is enough of those in my history of crowdfunding stuff. But I know there's some out there that are just 6 years or more. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Kickstarter hadn't closed them yet. So $125 retailer bundle. Thank you. Thinking of the retailers. This is a great deal. And I'm working on my own thing distribution wise, by the way, Rob, where I'm going to try to get retailers to carry crowdfunded books. We'll see how that's going to work out if I can make that work. I know it's a shipping thing for all the UK and Australia people to get cheaper shipping and thus competitive shipping with US. But if I expand it out, I become a little distribution hub for retailer stores. Say, hey, I've got all these UK books here. I can ship them to you in one box instead of 20 if you would like to have some on your shelves. And then if I'm doing that for the UK and it's distributing to stores, then why wouldn't the domestic books want to get in on that? But you get 5 copies of London Calling with the standard cover, 5 copies of the Abbey Road, 5 copies of the Bite of Brenna Barlow #1 with the standard cover. So that's 15 books for $125.
And it's free shipping for that.
Free shipping. So that's 15. I can't do the math now. 15 books times $10 is $150, and you're getting it for $125. That's a discount. Right there. So just probably steeper discount than that, because I'm sure that one of the books was more than the $10 and one was more than 15. You'll get it in April 2021, probably earlier. Only 10 retailers are going to be able to be allowed to participate in this. Limited early bird pricing. When's the early bird? Oh, 4 hours.
Early bird. Yeah, 4 hours to go.
Okay, 4 hours left before this for the price increases on this one. And then Pop Goes the Vampire and Hot Dog. Okay, this is the Pop, the Funko Pop. Now, this is a custom Brenna and Gary Funko Pop collectible, but is it a Funko Pop, or is it like I'm making a unique Funko Pop out of a Funko Pop? How does that work?
The way that the Funko boss does it is she doesn't take other Funkos and she crafts her own and does custom boxes and everything. So it's not going to just be a Funko Pop rolled up in some bubble wrap. It's going to have its own custom box with the Bite of Brenna Barlow logo. It's going to be a souped up custom Funko Pop.
Because what I'm meaning to think here is that Funko Pop is a brand.
Yes.
And so I didn't know if it was like officially Funko Pop or
no, it's a custom.
It's okay. So it's like if you got a custom Hot Wheels and it wasn't made by the Hot Wheels people.
Yes.
I hope that Funko Pop's like yay fan art kind of thing, and don't.
She's been doing it for years, so she's got,
she knows her way around it then. And there's only 5 of these, and 2 of them are gone. So there's only three of these pops going to be left here. And then you get another retailer bundle. I'm guessing this is after the.
Yes, that's after tonight.
150. So that's what we saw already. And then, gosh darn it, this one's gone. $125. You could have died in the Bite of Brenna Barlow #3.
Yes.
Sadly, you have to live. 2 people got to die.
Originally, I only had 1 there, but someone who backed the original book messaged me and was like, I really, really want this. I go, you know what, I'll open up for you. So I had to do a little rewriting for #3, but I worked him in there. Although there is another tier that we kind of missed there, where you can be in the 3rd book, in #3, in the wedding party.
I saw a wedding party, and then I kind of scrolled past it. Wait, okay, the wedding party tier, 110. You get a physical copy of London Calling, and you get to be a wedding guest in the next book.
Yes.
Now, see, here's where you can double up. You can die as a wedding guest.
That's where my wife said before I didn't know that you could add other, like if you had 1, you could add another. She goes, well, why don't you just tell him that he could be in the wedding party and he can die? I go, well, let me see what I can do. Although you never know. This might be like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. You don't know.
Everybody died. And we don't even know who's getting married because, we're thinking
yes,
it's going to be Brenna's marriage. Now, I passed over here the stretch goals because just kind of scrolled past as I was going over here. So let's take a look at these. 1,500. Hang on a second now. We're not there yet, but we're close.
Yes.
1,500 unlocks a special sneak peek pinup of the cover for the next issue. So when you say pinup, you're talking like another comic book sized print.
Yes. Yes.
Of the cover by Jenny Gourmand, which we're not seeing yet. We don't even see the teaser for that one yet, right?
Not yet, but she just sent me the like rough draft of it, and she has done a great job with it. It's quirky. It's nice. It's a really good piece.
Very cool. And then 1750, you get a Brenna and Gary collectible pin, which, you know, I would look nice here on my jacket with my other pins. $2,000. You're going to be adding more stretch goals here, Rob, because I guarantee you're going to hit over $2,000 if you've got almost the entire campaign left to go, and you're already at 1,100. You get a Gary T-shirt, and we'll get more information on that as we get closer. So,
yes.
That having been said and done, let me tell you what I want. No. Stickers, cheap, and people seem to like them.
Yes.
You go to Sticker Mule, if you have like just a sticker of your character, they die cut around it. It fits on the back of your laptop case or what have you. It's an idea. Everyone goes for the trading cards. I'm not a trading card guy, but knock yourself out if trading cards are your thing. There's places to do that. 3D prints. People are doing action figures. In fact, I refer a lot of them to a guy on Twitter that I know who does 3D prints. He takes, your front, your side, your back, and he does them for like cost for the people who are doing crowdfunded comics. So, if you wanted to think about a Brenna Barlow.
That's something that I did.
I think that's, we're all becoming our own DC and I don't have a mouse in my pocket and I'm not making comics. I'm just talking about the group in general. But we're all becoming our own marketing publishing houses. And to do that, we have to, start thinking beyond the comic book like the publishers have done and start thinking into the branding and the licensing, with the T-shirts and the lunchboxes and, the Netflix program, what have you, because it'll all go beyond that. So yeah, a 3D print of an action figure with with Toby, not Toby. I got the Sherlock Holmes one here with the little Gary on the side. That would be kind of a cool thing to have. It could be, you could even have the diorama of this pose here. Although, if you really wanted to go, balls to the wall on something no one's done yet, cold cast porcelain statue right there. I keep trying to push people toward that. It's like, look, get that. But nobody has done a cold cast porcelain statue of their character for crowdfunding, and I guess because it's like they're really expensive. They're like $300 when you buy them in the store anyway. So, and
I'm sure they're thrilled to ship too.
Oh God, yes, because you got to get specially molded styrofoam boxes to fit around them. Yeah. That said, okay, 3D print. Go with that. I think we've covered the entire thing. We've talked about who she is, where the story's going. We've looked at all the tiers. I'm looking at 1167, which I think is what I was looking at when we started, unfortunately.
Yes.
Which means I've done nothing for you, Rob. So I have not done. I've talked and talked and talked to the audience, and apparently
what we've got here is failure to communicate.
So the message has not gotten through them. However, the video stays on the channel in perpetuity. So if you're watching this on replay and it's still, the first month of 2021, click the link below, get over here to the Kickstarter, have your credit card ready to go, and pick one of these because this looks like a really cool modern horror story. And I don't mean like an urban fantasy kind. It might be urban fantasy, but it looks she looks like a normal person who's a vampire.
It's a bit of horror. It's a bit of dark humor. It's a bit of drama. It's just all that in a delicious comic soup.
Okay. Froze up just a bit there for a second. I thought I was going to lose you, but it's like, well, we're at the end of the hour. I guess it's not a bad time to lose. How many copies did you, end up pushing in the first campaign?
Roughly about, I'd say about 50 or 60.
Okay, so we want you to have at least 100 copies of this done up and sold before you're done here. So I will do nothing but, promote this video and tell people that they should get out there and get it, and, try to do my own part to participate in this one. I do back some of the projects that come on the show. I can't do all of them because for the last 2 months I've been without a job myself. I just got back to work here recently, and I haven't even really started my first day. But that said, we'll get that taken care of. I don't back a lot of Kickstarters, and I'll tell you why. As it has nothing to do with well, this place is better than that place. It's because when I back something on Indiegogo, they take my money. And
yes,
when I back something on
immediately.
Yeah, I backed something on Kickstarter, and I was like, okay, I had to put a sticky note on here that says, remember, on this day, there better be this much money in your account because they're going to try and take it. And then I've got to remember it. I wish Kickstarter would put it in escrow or something, put it in a middle tier area where you don't have it and you don't have it, but we'll release it. I don't know why they don't do that. I guess because it costs money to refund things for them. But Indiegogo can do it. Kickstarter's much bigger. They can take the hit and increase their business, I would think. But that's my only reason why I shun Kickstarter a little bit more than I do Indiegogo. I'm sure there's probably going to be other crowdfunding things that pop up soon. Is Brenna Barlow the only thing you want to do with crowdfunding comics?
Well, there's actually something else I have in mind. I don't know where it's going to fit in the scheme of things, but because I don't really want to say, only he and I really know what it is, but it has a universal and already built-in audience. That might be Indiegogo, just for that immediate, okay, here we go, because I know that I like this. I knew some people would like, I didn't know as many people would like it as they do, but this is this other project that are kind of something that, you okay?
Yeah, you're starting to jump around a bit there.
Okay. Well, no, Greg and I discussed that, the other project would really kind of pop, but right now it's Brenna.
Yeah, I like Brenna, and I don't know. I encountered your Kickstarter about the same time that Netflix. Hey, he's gone. Okay, well, in case he comes back, I was going to say that I encountered his Kickstarter around the same time that Netflix had dropped Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the new season of that, and final season of that, apparently. So there might have been some of that influence there. And he's back. Yes. Yeah, he just dropped right away. I could tell your internet was flaking out on you there, and I not.
Yeah, and then I knew my laptop was charged, and it went all goofy, but now it seems like it's a bit better.
Well, I was just saying that when I first encountered your Kickstarter, it was the same time that Netflix had dropped the latest season of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I think there might have been sort of an influence going on at that time, because I was getting sort of a Netflix Sabrina vibe from the artwork and the coloring. So, and especially the what's the artist who did the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina now, Francesco, I think. But anyway, him. Definitely seeing that on the cover here, that cover style. So they get a tip of the hat for directing me toward this. Is there anything else about Brenna that I should have covered that I didn't know to? Something you've been wanting to?
That's just strong female vampire who can read minds, and she's trying to do good rather than not do good. As to in the first short story, she touches upon how her family had done in the past, and she wanted to do good she wanted to be the voice of the voiceless, the weak,
All right.
So that's what she is.
You notice I've not asked anything about the giant crow or the flying bunny rabbits, the pega bunnies, or whatever they are, because I figure that's probably pretty story specific.
Well, the giant crow there, that was a bit of a Easter egg creative liberty that Benjamin did. He taught me what that, I can't even remember what he said that was, but it's some kind of mythical creature. Oh, the Whoopertingers, that's what they're called. They're going to figure into the story.
Okay. And the pega bunnies, the Pegasus bunnies.
They're called Whoopertingers.
Oh, Whoopertingers. Okay.
Yes.
I have never heard of winged rabbits before, so I'm going to have to look that up. Oh, they got.
I found out about that. My friend of mine is an author by the name of David Whitman, and he shares some really out there, really artwork on his through Facebook. And I saw this once. I'm like, you know what? If my comic has a villain, that is going to be their winged monkey.
Cool. I just now saw the antlers too, so they're like winged jackalopes.
Yes.
All right. Well, before you freeze up one more time here, we're going to go ahead and end the stream. Rob, it's been a pleasure having you on here. Thank you for
having me.
Thank you for telling us all about Brenna, and congratulations on being funded. I hope you get well beyond your stretch goal levels there. I'm confident that you will. And we'd like to thank also everybody in the chat for showing up. We don't have a show without you interacting with us. So interact more, and I'll try to do more streams. I will end by saying that we have a full slate coming up this week. We will be back on tomorrow night with Lee Byron Carver talking The Company Men. And then after that, we will have Roland Mann on to talk about Switchblade, his half of this Silverline Comics book. Followed on Thursday by Preston Acevedo and Doc Salem. And then Friday night, we will be live with, if I can find the right one, Outlaw Nights, Ben Fusilier. So lot to do. We'll be here every night this week, and we look forward to having you with us. Rob, have a pleasant evening, and good luck with the next stream.